Okay, let's just jump right in. You see this number flashing on your screen? An 86% annualized distribution rate. Nope, that's not a typo. That's from a real, recent weekly payout for one of the most talked about income ETFs out there. An 86% yield. I know exactly what you're thinking, because I thought it too.
What's the catch, right? Because come on, in the world of finance, a number that big has got to have a catch. It's practically a law of physics. Well, today, we're going to pull back that curtain and figure out exactly what it is. We're going on a little safari today into the wilds of the investing world. Our target? An exotic and powerful creature called the YieldMax Ultra Option Income Strategy ETF, or just ULTI for short. Think of this as your field guide. We're going to track it, see how it hunts for that massive yield, and most importantly, identify the dangers lurking in the tall grass.
All right, first up, let's get right into the machine itself. We need to pop the hood and understand exactly how this thing is built to spit out these huge, eye-popping income payments. So what are we looking at here? At its core, ULT is an actively managed ETF, and its whole goal is to generate income every single week. It does this by using a well-known option strategy called covered calls on a whole basket of about 15 to 30 really volatile stocks. Now, here's the crucial trade-off. You've got to understand this part. You collect all that cash from selling the options, but you're putting a hard ceiling on your potential gains if those stocks suddenly skyrocket. And if they tank, oh, you feel that pain for sure.
But, and there's always a but with yields this high, there's a shadow that follows these funds. A kind of boogeyman that keeps investors up at night. It's called NAV erosion, and it is the absolute central conflict of this whole story.
So what is this NAV erosion thing, in plain English? Just think of it as the fund's share price, its net asset value, slowly but surely bleeding out over time. It happens when a fund pays out way more in those juicy distributions that it's actually earning from its investments. So you gotta ask, where's the extra cash coming from? Let me make this super simple for you. Imagine you start getting a $10 allowance every single week. Pretty sweet, right? You can count on that cash flow coming in. But what if? What if that $10 is just being pulled directly out of your own $100 piggy bank? Well, after 10 weeks, you've gotten your allowance, sure, but your piggy bank is completely empty. You've just been paying yourself with your own money. And that, right there, is the big risk of NAV erosion.
And look, this isn't some secret I'm letting you in on. This comes straight from the horse's mouth. The fund managers, YieldMax, they put this right in their official documents. They're telling you, flat out, that investors could suffer notable losses even while clipping coupons. They're basically screaming, hey, look past the shiny yield.
But here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. Because faced with this huge, fundamental problem, ULTY's managers didn't just sit on their hands. Back in 2025, they went back to the drawing board and re-engineered the whole strategy. They added new weapons to their arsenal, specifically to fight back against this decay. This is the pivot.
And what's so fascinating here is you can see the evolution. The fund basically grew up. It went from being a one-trick pony, just doing simple covered calls, to being a much more complex, much more sophisticated machine. They added tools like collars and put spreads. You can think of these as defensive shields, option strategies designed to manage risk and protect the downside. And they started rotating stocks more actively, always hunting for the best setup. So, the million-dollar question, did it actually work? Well, the early signs are pretty encouraging. Since it started, the fund has actually posted a positive total return of over 12%. Now, let's be super clear, this is a very short track record, but that result flies in the face of the idea that this fund was just doomed to slowly bleed to zero. It suggests the new, more defensive game plan is actually helping stabilize things. Okay, so we know what it is, we know the main danger, and we know how it's evolved to fight back. So now, let's get really practical. How should you, as an investor, think about this thing? What's the playbook for taming this exotic animal and maybe even putting it in your portfolio? Let's just put it all on the table. On the pros side, you've got that absolutely massive distribution rate, cash in your pocket every week, and that smarter, advanced strategy we just talked about. But the cons are serious, and you can't ignore them. Your upside is capped forever. You still have that downside risk, the expense ratio is pretty high at 1.3%, and it's a very young fund. It hasn't been through a real trial by fire yet. You can see the trade-offs right there in black and white. So knowing all that, here's a smart way to approach it, a practical playbook. First, and this is non-negotiable, You allocate small. This is not the core of your portfolio. It's a satellite position, maybe 1 to 3% max. Second, if you don't actually need the weekly cash, reinvesting those distributions is a super powerful way to fight that NAV drip. Third, you gotta pair it with ballast. Some boring, steady, broad market ETFs and bonds to balance out the risk. And finally, set your expectations. This is a tactical tool, not a buy and hold forever core position.
Look, if you only remember one single thing from our time together today, please let it be this. That headline yield, that huge number that grabs all the attention, that's just marketing. The real scoreboard, the only number that truly tells you if you're winning or losing, is total return. That's the share price change, plus all those distributions. That number tells you if you're actually making money or if you're just getting your own piggy bank handed back to you, piece by piece.
So let's recap our little safari, shall we? ULTY dangles this incredible yield, but it comes with that huge risk of NAV erosion. Its managers saw the danger and pivoted, adding defensive tools to the mix. And so far, it seems to have worked, stabilizing performance and leading to a positive total return. So what's the final verdict? It's a high-risk tactical tool. Keep it on a short leash, and for goodness sakes, judge it on its total return, not its flashy yield.
And that really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. With this new, smarter toolkit, has ULTY actually solved the puzzle of high-yield decay? Or is it just a more complex, more sophisticated version of the same old high-stakes bet on volatility? The truth is, we won't really know the answer until we see how it performs to the next full, crazy market cycle.